Welcome to the James Rice Show, a humorous, entertaining, and sometimes thought-provoking look at teaching and studying abroad. Join the conversation as James guides you through his experiences and provides insights into how to improve your English and how to improve your teaching of English. And now, here's the man you've been waiting for, James Rice.
Coming up on this week's episode, everything you need to know to study and immigrate into Canada. Plus, social media monitoring to get a student visa? What? Where is that happening? All coming up on The James Rice Show. Hello, my students and fellow educators out there. Welcome to this week's episode of The James Rice Show. I am James, and I am not broadcasting from Toronto, Canada, as I usually do. I am probably somewhere on an airplane to Vietnam. Yes. So this is a pre-recorded show we've put together for you about studying in Canada as I am heading to Ho Chi Minh City in Vietnam right now while you're probably listening to the show, or I may be there. So I'm excited to head to Vietnam. And if you are listening to the show in Vietnam, I would love to absolutely meet you. Follow me on the Facebook page, James Rice Show, and I'll tell you where I am and where you can meet me in Ho Chi Minh. I'll be there. I will be in Hanoi and one more city, Ha Phong. I think that is the correct pronunciation, I hope. And I've been practicing my Vietnamese. Yeah, so I think I can say Xin Chào, Toi La James. Yeah, that's, hello. Hi, my name's James. So I'm looking forward to practicing that and learning more about Vietnam and what's happening in Vietnam. And so again, follow me on Facebook and let's meet in Vietnam. After that, I am heading to Japan and I'll be in Tokyo. So I hope that I can meet up with some fellow students and friends and former teachers and educators in Tokyo. Again, I'll be posting some of that information up on Facebook. So you tell you where you can meet me. Well, today, sorry for that break in the voice. I felt like a teenager there. Stephanie, our producer, she's helping me pre-record some of the podcasts that we're preparing, so that we can keep our regular times going, which is Mondays. We send out Mondays our podcast, and today we are welcoming Mr. Dylan Chen to the show. A little later, he is the director of Admission Hub. They work to help students study in Canada. And he is going to be talking about visas, schools, and different reasons why and how students come to study in Canada. Of course, I have been working in Canadian education for over 20 years, and I want to share some of my thoughts and considerations too. Then, after the interview with Dylan, we will have Trainer Saber come back on for an update on my body transformation. So, as you know, I am on a weight loss program to lose 100 pounds or 45 kilograms. So we will check in a little bit later to see how we are doing. Now, Stephanie, our lovely producer, also wants us to remind you that we have some amazing opportunities for you to learn English through the Study It textbooks. That's www.studyitbooks.com. And if you are a teacher out there, or if you are a student out there looking to learn and self-study, these are amazing textbooks. Check them out. You can download them through Apple's iBooks. They're also available on Amazon, but they work best with the Apple product. So check them out when you get a chance. Okay, now, studying in Canada. Let's discuss some options with you. Now, the 5 main schools that you can study at are, of course, first, language schools, and that's where you can learn ESL, English as a Second Language. A lot of students come for a vacation travel, perhaps business English, or more and more commonly, they are coming to language schools to do a pathway to college or university. So if they complete an academic English program, they can then transfer into a college program here in Canada. Not so much university, but usually colleges. So that's one type of school you can attend in Canada. The other type of school that are becoming more and more popular is a private career college. Private career college. Now, the big reason students go here is for the ability to work and a longer visa, and it is cheaper than regular college. So it's a vocational college, perhaps you know that term, or a private career college. And Dylan Chen, our guest later, will explain a bit more. But essentially, career colleges are not about language learning, but they're great for helping you find careers in Canada. So, for example, you might find a career in administration, perhaps bookkeeping, medical office workers, paralegal, massage therapists. So many different types of careers. And these programs are usually 8 months to 12 months, plus they give you an opportunity to work for up to 1 year. So those career colleges are becoming more and more popular for international students to learn and study to. So you could go from ESL into a private career college and live and work as well. A number of husbands and wives who travel as a couple. One person may be going to a community college or university, and the other person goes to a career college to pick up some skills so that they can work a little bit faster and start earning money a little bit faster. So couples, keep that in mind. The third type of school that is available for international students is the community college. And these are public colleges. They offer 2 or 3 year degrees, and they are great way. They are the best way, in my opinion, for students who want to immigrate to Canada, because at the end of your study, you can receive up to a 3-year work permit. And this is why Canada has grown so much and so fast in terms of popularity for international students, because you could do a 2 or 3 year program at a college and then work for 3 years, which is quite different than many other countries. So this is, and the reason why that this is happening and why the pathway for 3-year work permit is happening is because the Canadian government, they want students to do this because they want an educated workforce. All right, so they want students to have an education when you're ready to join the Canadian workforce. So if you do not have at least a college degree, then it's going to be very hard to find a good earning job out there. So the Canadian government is pushing you in this kind of direction. The fourth type of school for international students is university. And of course, the price here is quite a lot of money. So it's a little bit more expensive than the community college, about double the tuition fees. And it's 4 years in length. And of course, what is the difference between college and university? Well, one, of course, is the length of time. The college can be 2 years and the university can be 4 years. And you can actually do a 2+2. So you could do 2 years in college and then transfer into university. That's also becoming popular. But in terms of investment, you have to think about which one is better for you, the college route or the university route. Now, if you graduate from college in Canada, your peak maximum earning will be about $40,000 to $50,000 Canadian. Now, if you graduate from university, your peak maximum earning will be probably between $60,000 and $70,000, with the option to get a master's degree where you can earn upwards of $100,000 per year. Now, that may seem like a lot of money, but you have to remember, life is expensive in Canada. Now, this is what a lot of people don't realize, and that's because of our tax system. We do have free healthcare here, and we do have education that is free for elementary and high school students, and the government also pays for part of our university and college, and all of that comes with a cost. That means more tax money that you're paying to the government. So keep that in mind. And the two cities that are the most popular, Toronto and Vancouver, for international students, they are very expensive to live in. And here's an example. If you want to live here, buy a house, raise a family, then you need to earn at least $126,000 per year between you and your wife or husband. $126,000. Now, that is a lot of money, and it is very hard to make that much money in Canada. So even if you both have college diplomas making $50,000 and $50,000, you still do not have enough money to live in Toronto and Vancouver. So you do need to think about and consider looking at cities outside Toronto and Vancouver. So Winnipeg and Halifax have become very popular destinations because the cost of living there is much lower. And, so that's something for you guys to think about that. Now, that's a lot of information, Stephanie, we've given out. So I think it's time that we should maybe bring in Dylan Chen here and let's share his expertise. So we're going to have Dylan Chen come in after this short message.
The Study It textbooks are the first ever completely digital and interactive English as a second language textbook series. Once downloaded, these textbooks do not require a Wi-Fi connection. Students and teachers can use them anywhere, anytime. Used in over 40 schools, universities, and NGOs worldwide. Study It is the future of English teaching. Visit www.studyitbooks.com for more information.
Welcome back to the James Rice Show. I'm very pleased to welcome Mr. Dylan Chen, Director of Admission Hub, an education agency for schools and colleges in Canada. Welcome to the show, Dylan.
Hi, James. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And this week we are talking about studying in Canada. So why do students choose to come to Canada?
I think there are a few reasons that Canada, is getting so popular these days for international students to study. I think that the most important thing is the tuition. The tuition is actually relatively cheaper than the US. If you compare with UK, Australia, in Canada, Canadian universities and colleges, they charge less than those countries. And second thing is students, if they study at post-secondary institutions in Canada, they're allowed to work 20 hours per week. In lots of countries like the UK or some countries, you can't really work, So I think it's a great advantage and definitely help students to make money, and so they don't have that much financial burden. And the last, which is the most important part, is a lot of students, they choose to study in Canada because Canada is actually open the doors for immigrants. So a lot of students, after they complete their studies, they can get a postgraduate work permit, and then they will have opportunity to stay in Canada as a permanent resident.
Yeah, and it's a great opportunity in terms of making a new life in Canada. And do students say to you that that's one of the reasons why they want to come to Canada?
Yeah, definitely, because a lot of mature students, when they're choosing where to study, it's all about return on investments. So if you spend, let's say, $30,000, in Canada, later on you get a postgraduate work permit, and you have an opportunity to stay. If you study in the US, a lot of schools you can't really work while you're studying. It depends on what kind of, if it's for vocational, you can't really work, right? So same amount of money, if you spend in Canada, the return it's way higher versus other countries. So I think that's the reason why Canada, it's really popular these days. Yeah.
So that is for students who attend a university or a college program. They can get this postgraduate work permit. And how long is it?
So if students, they study at 1 year college, at community colleges, they will get 1 year postgraduate work permits. If they study for 2 or 3 years diploma program or a university degree that lasts for 4 years, student they will get up to 3 years postgraduate work permits. Meaning
So
that
they could go to college for 2 years and then get a 3-year work permit?
exactly. And
Wow.
actually, the program says 2 years, right? But actually, students they're only studying for 16 months because 2 years program they're at around like 6 months breaks in there.
For
So
holidays, you mean? Or
holiday, vacation, holiday, and summer break as well, right? So students actually technically they're only studying for 16 months, and the rest of the time they're working full time.
and you're saying Canada wants to bring in 1 million new immigrants through this system?
Exactly. So a couple months ago, the government of Canada, they actually announced this news. They want to bring more immigrants to Canada because the aging population, the shortage of the labor markets, Canada, really need immigrants to sustain the economy. So that's why they're really welcome foreign workers and for international students to come to Canada to stay and work and help the labor market.
Now, since we've talked a little bit about the different visas, what are the visas and what does PR mean?
Okay, so for international students, if you're coming from a visa exempt country, you just have to apply for your study permits and come to Canada and then study college or university, and then you get a postgraduate work permit. And then if you're lucky to be invited for express entry, which is the system that the government is select their immigrants, and then you'll be eligible to apply for Canadian permanent residence, which is PR. PR meaning that you are able to stay in Canada permanently. But if you're coming from a country that doesn't have for example, if you're coming from China, Vietnam, India, you will require to apply for a Canadian TRV, temporary resident visa and study permits together. You need these two visa and permits in order to come to Canada to study.
And how difficult is it to get those two visas? What do students have to do?
So it really depends on where you're from. For example, in our firm, we have Japanese division. Japanese students, when they apply for study permits, it's actually very easy. You don't need to have a study plan. You just need to prove that you have money in your bank account, and it's so fast. Sometimes it takes like less than 4 days to get your study permits. But if we look at Brazil or Vietnam, sometimes that permit can take up to like 8 or 9 weeks. It really depends on the visa office, and also the country condition. For example, some countries in India, in China, in Vietnam, in Philippines, there's visa programs called Student Direct Stream, which means if you have certain IELTS, you will be able to apply this stream and will be a lot faster. You just have to put money in the Canadian GIC account to prove as the mean of the financial proof, and then you'll be able to apply for visa faster than the normal streams.
And how much money do they need to have in the GIC, which is a guaranteed income certificate?
It depends on the market, but normally they're asking for about 10,000 to 20,000 Canadians.
So that's to show that you have money to live and survive in Canada.
Exactly. Yes.
Right. And what is the most common way that people enter through? Is this the most, I guess it depends on the visa exempt or?
Yeah, so it really depends on the visa. Depends on the country. Like at Admission Hub, we deal with a lot of students. Because we are a local agency, right? So at Admission Hub, we actually get a lot of students. They come to Canada as an ETA or tourist visa. ETA, so for example, people from Japan, Taiwan, Korea, Hong Kong, Spain, Mexico, Chile, they can come to Canada, which is with their passport. But
so
of course,
no visa required.
The only requirement will be like they have to register online first, but that takes like less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, it's very easy.
Yeah, and just $7, and
It's a discount rate.
Yeah, so it's actually very easy, and I haven't seen anyone, got rejected because, if you don't have a, criminal records with the U.S., with certain countries that have a data sharing with Canada, you should be able to get your permit. You should be able to get your ETA. Yeah.
I almost got rejected in the U.S. actually.
Really? What happened?
When they switched over to the ETA, they literally switched over midnight, and I was traveling to the USA, and I was on a stopover, and they wouldn't let me in until I had to get the ETA. But it was just, I just went on my phone and I did it in 5 minutes, like you said. It was more of a hassle at that point, but it's very easy to do.
Yeah, actually, going to the state, they're actually asking for ESTA, E-S-T-A.
Yeah, ESTA, right.
Yeah, but I felt like Canadian citizens, they are wait for that.
I don't think so. I maybe it wasn't the U.S. Maybe it was another country. I can't remember, but it was somebody stopped me anyways.
Okay, yeah. But for those things, you can actually just apply and online right away at the border. Yeah,
so that's the most common way. So students are coming to Canada with their visas, tourist visas, and they're kind of checking out Canada, right? I mean, they're kind of looking around, seeing if Canada is as good or as people say, or if they can survive the winter.
True. And I just want to clarify that earlier. So you should be applying your ETA before you come to Canada. You shouldn't be applying on the border.
Yeah, do not do like I did.
Exactly. So it's really crucial that you apply your ETA before you board your flight.
Yes, you must have it, or they won't let you on. They almost didn't let me.
Yeah.
So a lot of that's what you're saying, is they're coming in to check out Canada.
Yeah, a lot of people, we have seen a lot of students, especially from Mexico, they come to Canada and they actually fall in love with Canada. So a lot of them, they decided they want to stay in Canada. So the feasible option for them to stay in Canada would be changing their status to students. So
and they can do that in Canada.
Yeah, you can do that in Canada. That's correct. So if you are from, it doesn't have to be, Mexicans. If you're from any countries, okay, come to Canada. If you study at any program that's prerequisite courses for your full-time study, post-secondary institutions in Canada, you will be eligible to apply study permit inside Canada.
Could you give us an example of that?
Okay, sure. So, for example, if I have a student from Mexico, okay, she came to Canada and want to study Centennial College. But right now, her English level is not up to the level to get into Centennial College. So then she will have to enroll at a language school for a pathway program. What is pathway program? Pathway program meaning that if you complete this university college English academic preparation program, and you will be directly admitted to public colleges, because they have some schools they have partnership with, so you can just study at this language school, and then later on you'll be able to directly get into public colleges without IELTS or TOEFL. But once you study for this 3 to 4 months program, you finish it, and then you'll be eligible to apply your study permit inside Canada. And then you will get your permits in Canada. You don't even have to leave the country at all.
Yeah, I mean, that's amazing. I mean, that's really amazing. Now, I guess, could you speak to students who get their visas rejected? Because in my experience, and perhaps in yours, Dylan, many students are upset when they get a visa rejected, which, I understand. But oftentimes it's some sort of error in terms of paperwork, or they haven't shown enough information, and it's a matter of reapplying. Would you agree with that?
It really depends on their profile. Okay, so for example, if you're telling me, okay, there's some guy in China, who's like 50 years old and want to apply for study permits, of course it's going to be very challenging, right? So if you're applying from overseas, it really depends on the visa office. Different visa office, they have different requirements. But if you're applying inside Canada, normally they're looking at if you're having this legal status in Canada yet, or if you have finished, the prerequisite courses. These are the most important part when, the visa officer, when they're assessing, visa application inside Canada.
But once they're in Canada, it's pretty much guaranteed. I don't want to say guaranteed, but 90% guaranteed.
Let me give you an example. Okay, so in Canada right now, if you come to Canada to study, if your partner, is coming with you, your partner can actually get a work permit, right? If you're in common law or you're married, your partner can actually get a work permit. And if you happen to have kids, your kids can go to school for free for elementary school, middle school, even high school. So recently we have seen a lot of students, especially from China. They're in their like mid-40s, mid-50s. Okay, traditionally it's actually quite difficult for them to get a study permit. I mean, it's almost impossible for them to get a study permit if they were applying from visa office in Beijing or Guangzhou or Shanghai, right? So a lot of them, they actually come to Canada as a tourist first. And because by law, if you're having the tourist visa, you're allowed to study for up to 6 months, right? So during this 6 months, these, people in their mid-40s, 50s, they will be like studying at a pathway program and to meet the requirements to be eligible to apply inside Canada. So, and through this way, I've seen a lot of people that are getting their study permit this way.
Well, that's interesting. So even if you are a bit older, like me, you can still come to Canada.
Yeah.
not only for the young people. Where's the biggest growth? What are you seeing out there in terms of people coming to Canada? Where
are you talking about like that for ESO programs or college?
What's the difference? What's happening in the market there?
So for college, okay, over the past 5 years, we've seen India is growing like crazy. Like right now, what I've known that a lot of, like at Admission Hub, we do have Indian division. A lot of our Indian students, we're having a hard time to place them to public colleges because a lot of colleges, what I've known is they set a cap for a student who are from India.
Because there's just too many students from India applying.
Yeah. And recently government actually even allowed Indian students to study at private career colleges. So we have seen a lot of private career colleges. Now they have a lot of Indian students. And these Indian students at the end, they want to get their postgraduate work permits. So they're all applying for public college after they complete their private career college.
Okay, so before we go any further, what is the difference between a private career college and a public college? Can you explain the difference?
So private career colleges, it's very obvious it's privately owned, but the tuitions are cheaper than public colleges. Let me give an example. There's a school that we work very closely with. They have a program that's 13 months working, 13 months studying. So in total, that's about like 2 years and 6 months, right? So students, they're allowed to stay in Canada for around 2 years, and they're paying only for about like $12,000 tuition.
So that's a co-op program.
With a co-op program, yeah. Whereas if you're studying at public colleges, you will be paying for at least $17,000 per year.
But they can only get a 1-year postgraduate work permit, correct?
For public or private?
For the private career college. The person is doing the 1+1.
Permits they're getting will be the co-op work permits. It's not a postgraduate work permit.
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So
for
they're using
private-
that. So their students are using that. They're doing that one plus one program, 1 year of study, 1 year of work, and then they're going on to college, the public college, to eventually try to immigrate to Canada.
Exactly. So right now, if you go to like pretty much like every private career colleges in Toronto area, I can guarantee you like most of the students, after they finish their private career colleges, they are going to study at public colleges. Yeah.
But what you're saying to me is that in the Toronto area, where Admission Hub is based, is that the market is saturated. There's just too many students and not enough schools. So where are the other markets that they're going to? What are the other cities that they're going to? Because I imagine it's happening in Vancouver as well.
Yeah, so Vancouver actually has more private career colleges because the regulation is easier. Because in Canada, like education it's regulated by provincial governments, right? So I know that I know a lot of schools they're trying to expand to Toronto area, but because of the license, it's really hard to get a license here. So
and of course, the students want to go to Toronto or Vancouver, but there are other cities that are great and welcoming to the students.
Yeah, so. Of course, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, these three cities are the most popular Canadian cities for an international student. But if you want to have more like, some other cities in Canada, like Winnipeg, Halifax, these cities are way more affordable than those big cities in Canada. And it has more opportunity for you to stay. Because different provinces, they have provincial nominee program that they want to keep, international grads to stay in their province. So they can go through their provincial nominee programs, which is a lot easier than the federal immigration program.
Yeah, so that's very interesting because, what we're hearing is how difficult it is to get into the Canadian colleges because of the saturation mark, especially for the Indian students.
Exactly.
So what are the other growth markets that you're seeing?
Besides private career college or public colleges?
Or India, yeah, specifically.
In terms of the nationality or in terms of...
in terms of the nationality.
Okay, so in terms of nationality, I will say Vietnam is growing really fast too. Yeah, over the past few years, I've seen Vietnam has grown over 200-300%. Lots of Vietnamese students, but again, they're choosing Toronto, Vancouver as their top two destinations. But the interesting fact, though, for Vietnamese students, they actually want to go to college. Chinese students, on the other hand, a lot of them they want to go to universities. So
and China is still a very big market for Canada, of course.
China it's a big market, yeah.
That's a big market for the world.
It's true, yeah. And a lot of, but Chinese students, most of them, their parents want their kids to study at universities. So it's very interesting. You will see that Chinese students just want to study at university, but of course, a lot of students want to choose college as well. But for Indian and Vietnamese students, they're choosing college as their first options. Yeah.
Right. So why has Vietnam grown so much? I mean, what do you think's going on there, or is it just a push by the government?
I think the visa regulation definitely, after Trudeau got to power, I think he really relaxed the visa regulations. Especially a few years ago, they're having I think it was called Study Express or something like that. They make the regulation a lot easier for students to apply visa overseas. And right now, the Trudeau government really wants to, promote Canadian education to the world. Just to give you an example, I remember a few years ago, the government of Canada, they announced their ambitious targets. They say by 2021, they want to have I think the time was 450,000 international students, to enroll in Canadian schools. But I believe last year they already reached that target. So they're a few years early than expected.
Yeah, it was a big boom, that's for sure. Now you've painted a really rosy, wonderful picture of studying and living in Canada and how easy it is to get into Canada. But what are some of the problems that students are facing when they get here?
Mm-hmm.
What's the reality?
I think the reality is, if you're coming to Canada and your goal is just trying to apply, your goal is just trying to get a PR at the end, okay? So you really have to choose your program carefully, okay?
Your college program.
Your college program, exactly, yeah. So some programs are easier to get a job. Some programs are not very easy to get a job.
Yeah, this is great information. Yeah, please go on.
For example, like if someone wants to study graphic design, great. This is a great program, right? But in reality, job markets, not many companies they're hiring full-time graphic designer, unless you're like super, super good. But if you don't have graphic design experience and your goal is to apply for PR later on in Canada, and you just want to study graphic design, it's gonna take a few years for you to get a work experience, But how many years do you have for postgraduate work permit? Only 3 years, right? So you really have to plan your studies and plan your career very carefully if your goal is coming to Canada to get PR.
What are the more popular jobs when students graduate from college, where are they finding jobs in Canada now?
So in Canada, a lot of students, they want to go through the immigration programs called Canadian Experience Class. Canadian Experience Class means that if you have a 1 year work experience, and you'll be qualified for this program. But this 1 year work experience has to be under NOC category 0AB. Okay, NOC stands for National Occupation Classification. And there's different categories like 0 A, B, C, D. But 0 AB is considered as a skilled workers. So 0 meaning, something to do with management. So if you're a marketing manager, if you're the restaurant manager, 0 is meaning managerial positions. A meaning for professional work, like a lawyer, accountant, those are A. B is for skilled workers. So here are some examples are popular for international students to get their jobs. For example, like for a cook, restaurant cook is category B, right? If you're a accountant, that's category A. If you're a manager, that's category 0. Office administration, that's category B. So I think every businesses, they need to have office administrator, right? Office manager, like student assistant officer. It's not too difficult to get these kind of jobs. So there are thousands of job titles that allows you to qualify for a Canadian Experience Class.
Right. Yeah. It's very interesting because, I know you're an expert on Canadian immigration, but I'm listening to you and I'm thinking about Donald Trump, actually. And Donald Trump is saying, he wants a merit-based system in the U.S. And why do you think there is this problem in the U.S. and in the U.K. where they're struggling to give work permits to international students? And we're in Canada's giving them away like candy almost. I mean, what is the problem in the US and the UK? What is the pushback, do you think?
I think the immigration policies between Canada and the States are totally different. In Canada, most of the immigrants are from economic immigrants. Okay, but in the States, most of the immigrants consist of family reunification. So in Canada, in order for you to apply for PR, unless you're refugee or you're applying for family sponsorship, otherwise most of the applicants are economic immigrants, meaning that you need to have certain level of education, work experience, or for education level, or even your English level. Those are important factors when government is selecting immigrants. I think Donald Trump, the way he looked at the Canadian system, the merit based system, it's actually it's a good move for the economy for them, because in this case they can attract the best talented people move to the country. Australia introduced express of interest. I think about like less than 10 years ago, and Canada introduced this program in 2015. And I think the US, they've seen that the success that Australia and Canada, that they have implemented this system, really are able to attract the best talented people to the country. Because who doesn't want to attract immigrants that's educated, that speak fluent English, they have Canadian study experience, Canadian work experience. It's literally the same as, the people that were born in Canada. There's not much difference. Instead, having the immigrants that are directly from overseas, doesn't have the work experience in the country, doesn't have the English level, maybe it's lower. So it's harder to integrate into society, right? Having students, as their permanent residents later on, is good for the economy, good for the government. They don't have to spend money, the social affairs, they don't have to do the ESL training for those new immigrants. So it's actually really good for the country.
Yeah, no, it's going to be an interesting debate, especially in the U.S. and what they're doing. But I think the U.K. is coming around to changing their system slowly, and that'll be great for international students if the U.K. can get their game back as well. So, anyways, Dylan, amazing conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you, James.
It's a pleasure having you on the show.
Thank you.
Don't forget to follow James on Instagram at Connect with James for fun photos and updates on future episodes.
Hey everyone, I'm here with Trainer Saber for my body journey update, weight loss update. Trainer Saber, welcome.
Hi everyone.
How am I doing?
You are amazing.
You always say that though, come on.
Okay, so you are super amazing. Awesome.
How much weight have I lost?
Okay,
since January 1st, so this is now about 6 months. So we're just starting June for this weigh-in. So
you lost 64 pounds, and in kg is about 30 kg.
30 kilograms, 64 pounds. Mm-hmm. Wow.
Amazing.
Holy cow. Wow. Now, this month, rather, I would say that I have had a way more energy, a lot more energy, Trainer Saber. And I've been actually going to the gym 5 times a week. So 5 out of 7 days I've been hitting the gym. I haven't done this maybe ever. What's going on?
Yeah, I didn't even trust you before you said
you didn't believe it until you saw my workout.
Yeah. So, it happens sometimes like excessive body fat is actually interrupt your hormone and then your stamina. So as low as you lose your body fat, the stamina will be increased.
So I'm losing my body fat and my stamina is increasing.
Exactly. So your stamina was really low at the beginning.
But I also, I've been losing weight for 6 months. Mm-hmm. So, I've lost 60 pounds. But why just now? Because my stamina has...
Well, each individual has a different body. So I can say someone can get the stamina right after losing some pounds of fat, but in your case, it takes a little longer. But I'm really proud of you because you have been really patient. So you know what you do, and then now it compensates you to do the more fat loss.
So do you think people who are listening out there, they give up easily because it's too much work?
Possibly because losing body fat is quite harder if you have more excessive body fat, right? So my protocol for you is encourage you to keep the protocol. So you have been doing really good, and now once I was actually waiting for you until when you get the stamina back, right? So now I see you're working out is way much different than before.
Yeah, we worked out today. This is at the end of the workout. We worked out today for an hour.
Yeah,
I kept up with you for the whole hour. And then so my stamina is there.
You at the beginning you were like moving and then going up the stairs like old guy.
53.
No.
My biological age, according to Saber's calculations and his computer software, I'm 53 years old. But actually, I lost a year.
Yeah.
This week, I'm 52 now, so I'm going down. I am Benjamin Button.
So, yeah, you're amazing. And I just tested like a beginning workout routine when we started, and then it's completely different. You're totally different than when you were at the beginning.
Now, the other thing is that I found is, I don't know how to say this. It sounds kind of graphic, but my body fat is really loose and soft and like jello. It's kind of like hanging off my body. It's weird.
I gotcha. So, depending on what you are eating and what you have been done. For example, the fat hardness, and then he's talking about the fat softening. So when your body is really toxic, and then your fat gets hard, so which is like a fat hardening.
Yeah, and my stomach felt very hard. It felt like a rock when I first started.
Exactly. And then now what you're gonna do is you have to detox your body with some good nutrients.
So when people talk about detox, that means getting rid of that hard fat.
So the fat will soften and then easy to lose it.
So you'll poop it out.
Yeah, kinds of.
Because it's soft.
Yeah,
because it's softer, it poops out easier. Oh,
that is the one.
I don't think people want to listen to my pooping stories, but I do like that word, pooping. Yeah.
Well, not only poop, but also it's easy to be as a fuel. You know what I'm saying, right?
Okay, so the fat is the energy.
Yeah, exactly. You have tons of energy.
I have a lot of fat, so that's turning into energy, which is increasing my stamina.
Absolutely.
Wow, look at that science. Look at that science on the James Rice Show. That's beautiful. All right, thank you, Trainer Saber. That's amazing.
All right, thank you, everyone.
We'll keep you updated.
Have you subscribed to James's newsletter? When you subscribe, you will receive a free Study It ESL textbook. Visit www.thejamesriceshow.com for more information and join today.
Now, a couple of weeks back, we had Andrew Durston come on to our show from Australia, and he discussed universities that were looking into your social media accounts as a way to prove your English skills and to verify that what you were saying on your application was actually true. Well, it was just recently announced that in the United States, the State Department will request details of your social media accounts when you're applying for a student visa. Now, did you know that? Yeah. So, and also, did you know that when you enter the U.S. or Canada, as a matter of fact, border security can ask to see your cell phone and check your text messages, check your social media to prove that what you're saying is true. So even in Canada, this can happen as well. So you all need to be aware of this new change in terms of immigration policy in the U.S. and tell me what you think. Is this a little too much to ask? A little too much of an invasion of privacy? I don't know. Let me know. Contact us. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook at James Rice Show or connect with James on Instagram. And we look forward to talking with you guys next week. Remember, I am in Vietnam and flying to Tokyo next. And I hope to meet up with some fans and some listeners as well as former students and teachers. Thank you guys for listening as always. And thank you for your support. And remember, be crazy.
Thanks for listening to The James Rice Show. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter and send us your questions or comments at www.thejamesriceshow.com.